California's e-bike boom is raising new safety concerns. A new UC San Diego study found reported e-bike collisions in the state skyrocketed from just 2 in 2018 to over 1,500 in 2024. This as injuries became more severe and children made up a larger share of victims. Researchers say the findings based on CHP traffic records show e-bike crashes are becoming a distinct and growing public health issue.
The problem with an electric bicycle is that a lot of folks don't realize is, um, you know, modern motors with, lithium batteries, when you crank the throttle, there's a lot of torque there right away. And just like anybody who's seen a Tesla drive on the highway, it has a lot of acceleration and speed. So can e-bikes. And so they can be surprising. People are often surprised how quickly they can accelerate, and how much the speeds they can attain. And they are generally heavier. And what we're noticing, and the study showed, is that the injuries on e-bikes are more severe than they are on bicycles. So, and it's probably because the way they're being driven, the behavior of some of the riders, and their heavier weight, and just basically ends up with a more severe injury.
Dr. Jay Doucette says too many riders still aren't wearing helmets and that education, infrastructure, and policy have not kept up with the rapid growth in e-bike use. He says there are steps that could help.
I think one thing is education. I mean, people need to realize, particularly parents, if they're buying one of these for their kids, that they're not all the same, and that they do have higher risks of injury. Helmets are especially important, and especially children on bicycles or e-bikes should be wearing a helmet. Um, you know, in California, we previously did studies, particularly in San Diego County. Not every town has the same level of bike infrastructure. Some have excellent bike lanes, and some have signs and painted stripes on the roads. And it's important that we recognize that keeping bikes and e-bikes away from traffic is important. And the communities in San Diego County that have done that better have lower rates of bicycle deaths and injuries than those that have not. So an investment in that kind of infrastructure does pay off in lower mortality. E-bikes aren't going to go away. They are attractive for commuters and others. They offer a way of getting around. But we have to recognize, the potential for injury is greater, and so the way they're driven is important. Unfortunately, I'm sure we've all seen kids doing stunts on these things, and one thing our study also showed is that e-bikes are more likely to be associated with collisions involving higher speeds or failure to yield right of way, going against the right of way. That's more likely for an e-bike collision than it is for a bicycle collision. So they're not being ridden quite the same way, and so some younger riders are likely going to exploit the capabilities of the bike, and so we have to educate folks that that's associated with significant risk, and a higher risk of accidents as well.
Dr. Doucette also says he'd like better ways to identify e-bikes since some are hard to tell apart from traditional bicycles.